What's up guys, Peepo here, and today's video is going to be the review of this, the next Adidas head that I've gotten to go over and review and everything like that. This one is called the Bawse. Yes, we're back on that sort of name. Bawse, spelled B-A-W-S-E. Well, I'm okay with the name. I think it's pretty cool. Probably not the spelling, but the actual name itself is pretty neat. Just getting right into it. It is, I would say, more of a attack-oriented head. Definitely a little bit more flexible than the Enrage that I've already done a review of. The main reason why I say it's a little bit more attack, I guess it would be more so the midfielder and the shooter attackman, just because of how most of the orientation of how those sort of positions work. Most of the time you'll see a lot of people with those the midfielders and the outside shooters will want kind of like a high pocket because they want to be able to get the ball in and out of the pocket as fast as possible. The only way to do that is when you catch it, the pocket already be high, so it has a quicker release. So this head is more focused towards that simply because of its offset. It is a straight head, but then it comes down, curves, but the bottom rail curves about halfway to closer to the upper third of the head, so that kind of forces you to have a little bit of a higher pocket. I have strung a few low pockets, but because of the offset of the head on a shaft and having the ball in it and everything, the balance of the head didn't really offer as much of an option for a mid-low pocket. So it's definitely a little more focused towards your mid-high or solid mid pockets. The sidewall actual struts are actually kind of cool. It's got one here and then two up here and then one way up high, which adds for a little bit of stiffness in those areas, but not so much horizontally, definitely vertically. It'll definitely be good for when you're shooting. It's probably not gonna flex too much when you put a lot of torque into it. The sidewall holes themselves are a little, you can see this one here, you can see kind of the shadow going on here. It's almost like kind of going down and then in, so it has a weird, one of the edges of it is actually a little strange, of the actual sidewall holes. It's a little strange, but I feel this kind of contributes to the whole mid-high aspect because it kind of pulls the knots this way. And kind of moving into that with the knots, the sidewall itself is very pointed, but it has a nice curved outside, so the knots are forced to the outside of the head, which is pretty decent. It's going to keep the mesh to the outside, and all you're going to have exposed on the inside is the strings. But when you're actually stringing and whatnot, the holes are actually big enough to where you could put two strings through it, but they definitely are rather small. Not too small or anything like that, but they're also pretty well spread out along the sidewall. The ones closer to the top, which the top three are big enough to where you can do like double wraps or have two strings go through it. And that brings us into like the top holes, where there is 7 of them, 7 very large ones, so leathers will definitely fit through these very easily. Same with the bottom holes. Bottom holes you might have to squeeze the leathers through a little bit, but otherwise they're wide enough for it. With the top holes, the front side very flat, then the back side kind of ridges, protecting the string, which is a good move, a very good move, especially for high traffic ball pickups, simply because I feel it's more focused towards the midfielder. You're going to be picking up the ball a lot, so you want to be able to protect the strings as much as possible without uh, breaking patent laws and everything like that. So moving into a little bit more into the scoop itself, very nice, wide, not too pointed scoop, which again helps out with scooping up the balls. Not overall, I feel this is going to be a good ground ball head. The actual keyhole shape is a little wide here at the actual scoop itself, so lots of catching area, and it's definitely universal. It's got the 3-inch rule here, and overall just a decent face shape for another head from Adidas after the fiasco of the last time they tried to get into this. That brings us into the actual throat of the head. Again, this is another head that I feel has a decent amount of beefiness while still cutting out a lot of weight as much as possible. There's really not any too thin areas on the throat at all to where I feel that it would snap too easily. Again, I'm not a huge fan of single hole screws for heads nowadays, just because of the rattle effect. But it's good that they put it low, and they have the top area where the shaft will actually meet the very end of the shaft hole in the head is beefy up there, so that the shaft won't be able to move around too much, and the hole's lower, so that it's kind of just double bracing. But if they had another screw hole, I think it would probably definitely be an improvement. And again, the bottom holes, there's a little bit of an I guess you could say an extra bottom sidewall hole that you could manage to put a leather through if you really wanted to, or a 6-shooter runner if you really wanted to, and it'd work out pretty well. This head definitely more flexible than the Enrage, so I guess it would be worth a shot to try and use it as a face-off head, but I probably wouldn't personally. It's got decent enough flex. The flex points are protected with enough plastic to where it won't snap too easily, but I don't know if I would really use it as a face-off head. Definitely not an LSM head. It's a little too flimsy for that sort of work. But again, with like the Enrage, there's a little bit of more plastic closer to the hand, so that you have more positive control where all the weight is when it's closer to your top cradle in hand. So again, overall, I feel Adidas has done a decent amount of research and development for this head, and I feel it's a great improvement from what they've had out in the past. This in the Enrage definitely gets some good props from me. It's definitely, if you are an Adidas sponsored school, don't think that it's not a great head just because it's new and from Adidas. But I feel it is a decent head. So Adidas Bawse head. Give it a look. If you see any at any stores, give them a look, and hopefully a couple of these Adidas sponsored schools will be able to kind of like feature what they got. So thanks for watching, guys. I will catch you later.